The thoughts, views, and comments expressed by Rodney Monker, his guests, callers, and advisors on Freedom March are not necessarily those of the management, ownership, or production unit of ILS, the Verizon Media Group. Freedom March is a production of ILTV Studios and cannot be reproduced or represented in part or entirety without the express written consent of the Verizon Media Group. Freedom March is the intellectual property of the Verizon Media Group. Copyright 2017. All rights are reserved.
The role of a woman in the society is to submit. Birth control are the pills of the devil. Education is so fundamental to the development of a people. Hang murderers. Simple as that. What am I voting for? Voting will change nothing.
Tout le monde haïtien, como ye. God save the Queen.
Broadcasting live from ILTV Studios here in Nassau, Bahamas. Welcome to Freedom March. My name is Rodney Monker. I'm a Justice of the Peace here in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And of course, I'm a member of the Holy Roman Catholic Church. My spiritual advisor, Bradley Roll, praise the Lord, he's here. Bradley, what will I do without your presence? Because the forces of evil are encamping outside of my gates. And if I ever need the Lord before, I sure don't need him now.
Right now.
So,
now.
Welcome to Freedom March.
Thank you, Mr. Monka.
Where have you been over the last 24 hours?
Working, Mr. Monka. There's a lot of work out there. I must encourage all of our young men who are sitting on the blocks, Mr. Monka, idle, doing nothing, smoking beedi and backwood and drinking rum. There's a lot of work out there. Get yourself a truck and a chainsaw and a lawnmower and a cutlass and a rake and make $700 a day, Mr. Monka.
My spiritual advisor, where should these unemployed Negroes go to find this kind of work?
Well, it's all...
I know it is the people's time.
It's all over the country.
Really?
It's all over the country.
This is powerful.
I have left a prestigious job, Mr. Monka, to do landscaping.
Wow.
Because there's money in it. There's lots of money in landscaping. But, of course, a lot of us don't want to get our hands dirty and we don't be in the hot sun and become dark like I am, but it's worth it.
I thought your darkness had nothing to do with the sun. I thought you was just naturally
dark.
Gifted.
No, I'm almost as bright as you are.
But of course.
The sun has me
This is powerful.
baked this way.
Well, my spiritual advisor, I'm happy that you are here today.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, today, we're going to look at the newspaper and we're going to see whether or not it is payback time for the PLP. Because you would recall that an F&M Meritorious Council member by the name of Fred Ramsey was charged over the BEC bribe scandal and was convicted. And notwithstanding that a judge and a jury tried him, the former Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Hubert Alexander Ingram, continues to tell me that Fred Ramsey is innocent. Well, it might be payback time for the F&M, because in the newspaper, the Nassau Guardian and the Tribune, well, particularly the Tribune tells us that ex-ministers to face the courts. So this is powerful. Will the F&M take revenge on the PLP and also charge them? And will justice be stopped once again in her most vital parts? These are some of the things that are on my mind. But today, I expect to talk to the police about drugs. So in the next segment of the show, the half-an-hour segment, I'm going to have a police officer here, and we're going to talk, my spiritual advisor, not but beaties, but about sensimania. When last have you had cochon pain? And do you know it's against the laws? Well, grass. We're going to talk grass when the police come. Watch out for grass.
Freedom March with Rodney Monker will be right back after this. This is Freedom March with Rodney Monker.
Welcome back to Freedom March, broadcasting live on ILTV here in beautiful Nassau, Bahamas. You can join me on ILTV.com Facebook page, in which I am sharing it on my page, Rodney Monker. My spiritual advisor, praise the Lord, Bradley Roll, is here with me. Bradley, what would I do without your godly counsel?
And you need it, Mr. Monker. We all do need spiritual advice from time to time. For there are times we find ourselves slipping.
This is powerful.
And sliding.
This is powerful. Yesterday, when I departed the studio, I noted that there were a series of calls coming into my phone. And finally, I answered. And a Conky Joe Bahamian out of Grand Turtle Key had complained that he had been trying to reach me on Freedom March. And I wanted to know what was the problem. Well, he complained that once again, the foreign managed company, BPL, is not only failing Nassau, it has failed Grand Turtle Key. And the Conky Joe man was extremely upset because they have many American tourists on the key and in the city of New Plymouth, which is located on Grand Turtle Key. Now, Grand Turtle Key is one of the keys in a chain of keys in the Upper Coast. And these tourists, he reported to me, are paying as high as $16,000 per week. And he said to me, listen, all we got is tourists them. But the tourists them were packing up because the heat was unbearable. And once again, BPL has let us down as they are consistently undermining the #1 industry here in the Bahamas, and that's tourism. My spiritual advisor, certainly it's horrible for visitors to come to the Bahamas, pay all that kind of money.
Absolutely.
And when they get here, they light them off.
And Mr. Monker, we have to blame, ourselves for this because this is a problem that's been going on from time immemorial.
You really think I should blame the people of Grand Turtle Key?
Well, not, Mr. Monker, this power company has been with us, about a year now, 2 years? And prior to that, BEC? The problem can't get solved. So what does that mean? It's every summer it's the same problem, regardless of who's running BEC or BPNL. So we need to find out what is going on. Why can't the power company keep the power on during the summer? Obviously, they're challenged with something that needs to be corrected.
Well, I was surprised when the Conky Joe man called me because I almost said to him, listen, what is the name of your MP? You know his MP? Hanfield, the Foreign Affairs Minister.
Who's that?
There are two Hanfield in this house.
Okay.
One is his wife, first cousin Giles.
That's the senator.
That's the senator.
Right.
And the other one is the former Defense Force officer, who's the Minister of Foreign Affairs. And my God, the Conky Joe people have to call me, Hanfield, when Papa was the Member of Parliament for that part of Abaco, the Conky Joe them didn't have this kind of problem. The Negroes in that part of the island, they didn't have this problem. So you got to try and fix it up because the Conky Joes are very revolutionary and they're very angry. And I promised them, listen, we here at Freedom March, we're going to speak out for you. So we are very saddened that the lights in Grand Turtle Key, Abaco, that's where my paternal great-grandfather, my grandfather, my great-grandfather, my great-great-grandfather, and my great-great-great-great-great-grandfather, they were born at Green Turtle Key, my spiritual advisor.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my people, them, ain't got no light. What we can do with BPL?
I think the best thing to do with BPL is do what you normally do.
What is that?
Let thousands grab placards and picket them.
My spiritual advisor, are you still with the government in there?
Of course.
But you
What time is it?
It's time for change. Man, ask that question
It's the
again.
people's time.
Ask me the question
What
again.
time is it, Senator?
It is time for change.
We got 5 years, eh?
Yeah, what?
got 5 years.
We?
Yeah,
I say for them too, you know.
we got 5 years, man.
Okay.
So let's try to correct it.
Anyway, listen. You all have to do something for the Conkey Joe people. They're very upset, and they called me all night last night. And I just love when the Conkey Joe them call me, okay? Y'all keep calling me, all right? So I could help to curse out the F&M. So that is great. Well, I'm going to be speaking with Superintendent of Police, Dr. Chaswell Hanna. We're going to talk about drugs. He's going to give us some education on drugs. And I have 1 or 2 questions to ask him, because the young people there, I know, I grew up in Black Village, and I remember when they smoked Kool Ping. They smoked Kool Ping, and then they had one bad grass. When you smoke that grass, everybody within a mile was flying. Everybody was high, just smoking up a bunch of grass. All right? So I'm going to ask him about these things. And then, of course, you remember that the leader of the DNA, Ronald McCartney, he ran a whole campaign saying to legalize, or should I say decriminalize, marijuana. Then the next thing I know, my doctor, Dr. Dwayne Sands, he too was advocating it. They don't know that I am very conservative. I don't think people should smoke grass because mama say you could catch lung cancer. My spiritual advisor, what do you think?
I don't know if it's scientific. I mean, there are some doctors who are saying that smoking marijuana can be used for medical purposes. It
Really?
actually heals. Yeah, there's some things.
What does it heal? Because I have a lot of things on me hiding.
I'll have to go back and do the research. But of course, in the United States, we see where in some states it's legal
Well, let's not
to
talk.
smoke grass.
Let's not talk too much about it
They
because
got cannabis shops.
we
where
got
you
to.
can
Let's
go in-
save that for when the police come on, because he might have a handcuff. All right, and at 60, all right. So, that is what has happened in Green Turtle Key, and while I'm at it, I want to talk for a few minutes. There was a Negro young man who called from Hawthorne Road. Hawthorne Road is just off Farrington Road, and he complained about the garbage collection. And there was the Negro male out of the Big Pond subdivision who responded. And I promised that I would drive through Hawthorne Road to see if, in fact, what the young man said was the truth. And let me tell you, I drove through, and there were many garbage containers along the road that had garbage. So the young man did not mislead me. And interestingly enough, I happened to have received a call from the newly elected member of Parliament for St. Barnabas, Shannon Dawn Cartwright. And Mr. Cartwright say he has taken note of the complaint and he shall move expeditiously to ensure not only that garbage collection is done swiftly, he's going to help to organize the cleanup community, to clean up the community. So, look, I know Shannon Dawn very well. It's Marvin Dames' nephew, Candia Dames' nephew. But Shannon Dawn has always been a very decent young man. So what I'm going to do, in honor of his decency, I'm going to give him until next week to move the garbage. And then if the garbage isn't moved by next week, then I'll come and curse him out. He's also my member of parliament. So I'm only reporting that the young man who called from Horton Road spoke truth, and the member of parliament, I spoke with him this morning, that's Mr. Shenandoah Cartwright, who's assured me that he will move expeditiously to have the matter resolved. So we got to see what kind of man Shenandoah is. My spiritual advisor, you know young Shenandoah
Very well.
Cartwright.
Very well.
What is your impression
My
of him?
impression of him is, he's a very decent, respectful young man. I think he's going to do well for St. Barnabas. He understands the people. He understands the people's need, having been in the service industry for a few years. He knows good customer service, and I do believe that he will do well. He's a man who listens to people. He sympathizes, and he also empathizes as well. So the people of St. Barnabas should not have an issue with Shenandoah. He has that kind of character.
You think he will deliver?
Yeah, man, he's going to do well.
You don't think he's a half-stepper?
No, of course not.
You don't think he's like many of the senior men in the F&M?
Many of the senior men in the F&M like, oh, this government is new, Mr. Monica. Now, if you want to talk about Papa government, then, yeah, you can do that.
Didn't I tell you, don't say nothing bad about Papa on this show? Only me is allowed to do that. But we'll give Shenandoah.
Of course.
Okay,
give him a chance.
that's
like
fair.
every other F&M candidate who has won their seat, you got to give him a chance to prove to the people that they're going to serve.
Okay.
In all fairness.
Okay. Well, I thank you for that. Well, last night, the Prime Minister, Dr. Hubert Alexander Minnis, attended a graduation of a number of new medical doctors. And the young doctors, they're frustrated. And they have turned to me to ask me to agitate for them, because after the interaction with the new Prime Minister, they have been left uncomfortable, and they are now of the opinion that there is no place for them at the Princess Margaret Hospital. And I told them that can't be true, because my personal physician, he is the Minister of Health, Dr. Dwayne Sands, and I always felt that I have some influence with him. And so I'm going to ask Dr. Dwayne Sands, Dr. Sands, do this one for me, eh? All them Bahamians who graduated, find little space for them at the Princess Margaret Hospital so that they can do their internship. They're very upset, and they have appealed to me, and I don't want to have to case my doctor out, because you've been very kind to me, and I believe, had it not been for you and Jesus, I might not be as healthy as I am today. So, Sands, they're complaining, okay? I spoke to this female doctor, and I was so moved that she's so frustrated that she will not be able to remain here in the Bahamas and serve. And as she spoke to me, I asked the question in my mind, what time is it? It has to be the young people time, all right? We have these people who have graduated, my spiritual advisor, from the University of the West Indies, and they are ready for service, but they are getting terrible vibes that there might be no space in the hospital for them. Well, if there's no space at PMH, send them to the public clinic. Can that work, my spiritual advisor?
We have a lot of clinics that would need help from time to time, of course. Are they registered nurses or?
These are doctors.
Oh, doctors.
I said nurse?
I don't know. I thought you said nurses.
Well,
I could be
if
wrong.
I said nurse, I'm wrong. These are doctors.
Oh, they're doctors.
Doctors.
Okay.
And we need doctors.
Well, Doctors Hospital could use their services.
I don't know. I prefer them at the Princess
Margaret Hospital. Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Because who can pay them?
Absolutely.
All right. So we can have to. You know anybody in the government we could talk to?
We can talk to your friend,
Who's that?
Dr. Dwayne Sands.
Okay. Well, we have to find him.
Yeah, let's find him.
Dr. Sands, listen. I don't want to curse you out. I don't want to appear to be ungrateful. After all that free medical work you give me, and all that medicine, and so forth, my lawyer told me, said, when I told him what Dwayne Sands said to me, he said, wow, do you know the value of that? Thousands of dollars.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, Sands, I don't want to appear to be ungrateful. Very grateful, but I'm concerned about the cries of the doctors them. And I'm also concerned of the confidential information which they provided to me after speaking with our new Prime Minister. And I don't know if I should be talking that kind of secret. So let's do something for them. How that sound, my spiritual advisor?
Good. Excellent.
All right, thank you. Well, let's see what else we have. There's so many things to rant and rave about, because today I met a young man, and it was extremely interesting when I encountered him. A young man, I'm not going to call his name until I see his mother's name, and then I will call his name. But from what he has told me, his mother is a wonderful, wonderful lady. And he has told me that his mother is one of the woman them. Can you imagine that? You know this for a son to present his mother? It is so powerful, and obviously she's a wonderful woman. So I start off by saluting Mrs. Winifred Monroe. I met your son, Marvin, this morning, and he told me that you love Freedom March and that you love me. And listen, I yearn, Miss Monroe, to meet you. And having heard the praises of your character from your son, you are a wonderful mother. And let me tell you something, eh? Children, and particularly all the children them, they are a reflection of them are. And from his mannerly character, it's clear that you are a wonderful Negro mother and woman. So Winifred Monroe, I salute you, and I yearn for the day that I can formally meet you. You're a great mother, and I wish you the best. And continue to listen to Freedom March, and listen, don't smell my head, pray for me, so that I can use wisdom and common sense. What you say, my spiritual advisor?
And speak wisely.
And speak wisely.
Absolutely.
This is
Absolutely.
powerful. This is powerful. So we've given her a salute, and we'll hold back some of the other controversial matters because, as we know, we're going to be talking about drugs with a police superintendent.
Okay, yeah, that's about time. It's a timely discussion.
Intellectual. So, folks, get the young children together. I want them to hear what the police officer has to say, because as we walk along the street, there are many young people who are still smoking grass as if grass is lawful. Don't mind them. Marijuana is against the law. And if you can't spell law, it is L-A-W. This is Freedom March. I'll be right back after the break.
Freedom March with Rodney Monker will be right back after this. The thoughts, views, and comments expressed by Rodney Monker, his guests, callers, and advisors on Freedom March are not necessarily those of the management, ownership, or production unit of ILS, the Verizon Media Group. Freedom March is a production of ILTV Studios and cannot be reproduced or represented in part or entirety without the express written consent of the Verizon Media Group. Freedom March is the intellectual property of the Verizon Media Group. Copyright 2017. All rights are reserved.
Welcome to Freedom March, broadcasting live on ILTV here in Nassau, Bahamas. My name is Rodney Monker. My spiritual advisor is Bradley Roll. And our special guest for the remainder of the show is Superintendent Dr. Chaswell Hanna. And he also is a lecturer from time to time at the College of the Bahamas, University of the Bahamas, in which he teaches criminal justice and sociology. Superintendent Hannah, please forgive me. My father was a chief inspector. I can't believe you had a higher rank than him. But that's powerful. Superintendent Hannah, Superintendent Dr. Hannah, welcome to Freedom Mart.
Thank you, Mr. Monka. Thank you for having me.
Isn't there a celebration that is coming up?
Yes, on June 26th, which will be this coming Monday,
Yes.
that day is observed as the International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking. That is a day set aside by the United Nations where all countries raise the awareness of the harmful effects of drug use, abuse, and illicit trafficking.
I see. And so you are having what? A similar forum?
Yes, we have a series of events this year. Every year we commemorate this day with a number of awareness raising activities. This year on Sunday, we'll be having a church service at Zion East in Shirley, where we'll be inviting a number of youth groups. Our Minister of National Security will be bringing remarks, and we'll present to that church token from the Ministry of National Security to support their anti-drug programs. On Monday at 12 noon at the Mall at Marathon's food court, we will be having a drug exhibition.
Yes.
This is where all of our local drug stakeholders, everybody ranging from Teen Challenge, BASH, the Bahamas National Drug Council, the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, the Drug Enforcement Unit of the Royal Bahamas Police Force, will be setting up displays and giving out information that will raise the awareness about the harmful effects of drug use and abuse. So we want to encourage everybody as much as possible to come and look at the exhibition and see what new information regarding drugs and drug trends are occurring in our country and how we can better address this problem.
Now, when we talk about drugs, right, what specific drugs is on your mind?
Well, the traditional drugs are still present. Marijuana, which is the most common type of illicit drug that is being seized. In fact, in 2015, we had over 15,000 pounds seized by local authorities, and last year we had just over 4,000. So that is the most common type of drug seized. We also have cocaine passing through our country. In 2015, just over 1,500 pounds, and last year, just over 3,500 pounds being seized.
Now,
Go ahead.
No.
We don't see much heroin over the last few years in terms of seizures. And we had a few ecstasy tablets seized. In 2015, there was about 195. And last year, there was a relatively large seizure of heroin, ecstasy tablets, almost 5,000 tablets seized. So these are some of the traditional drugs. But lately, we've been seeing some new types of drugs.
They have new kinds of drugs?
Yes.
Tell me about this new type of drugs.
One of the most popular, one of the new and trending drugs nowadays, particularly in our schools, is referred to as lean, L-E-A-N, lean. It is also known as scissor. They also call it...
Would you kindly spell scissor for me?
Scissor is spelled S-I-Z-Z-U-R-P.
Okay.
They also call it purple drank.
Purple drank.
Yes.
Okay.
And you also call it dirty Sprite.
Dirty Sprite. Okay.
And the last word they call it is perps, P-U-R-P-S.
Perps.
All of these are considered lean. And what lean is a mixture of codeine-based prescription cough medicine or cough syrup, and students are mixing them with soft drinks such as Sprite or Mountain Dew, and they add hard candies such as Jolly Rancher. And when this...
Hard candies?
Yeah, like a candy. Jolly Rancher.
Real candy?
Candy.
Okay.
It's a candy you could buy in a store. But when you combine these products, it's getting these kids high.
How did they discover that? I mean, that may be a kind of impossible question, difficult one for you. But
I suspect they discovered it from social media because it's a growing trend in the United States, and it's also being
it's the Americans
promoted in various rap artists promoted. They even have songs on it. And a lot of what we see going on in our schools is from the U.S. As a consequence of social media.
Wow. If I may ask, let us use the U.S. we see that in the United States there is a liberal move to decriminalize, legalize marijuana. If you had to influence the conversation, the narrative, what would be your feelings on it? Do you think we should decriminalize?
Well, let me first make it clear that it is position of the government of Bahamas not to legalize marijuana.
Praise the Lord! They're not going to legalize marijuana.
There's no information, no discussion about that. But what I think what we are looking at now is depenalization.
Depenalization. Please explain the difference between decriminalization and depenalization.
Decriminalization is removing it off of our law books, making it not making it an offense. But depenalization is when you still recognize that it's against the law,
okay,
but the punishments are adjusted. And let me explain why. We are about to explore the establishment, or we have been exploring the establishment of a drug treatment court, where drug addicts who have committed crimes as a result of their addiction, rather than going to penal institutions, the Bahamas Department of Corrections, they'll be sentenced to a drug treatment program where they will have to undergo various programs, staying clean, etc. And if they successfully complete those programs, then they can be reintegrated into society to live productive, drug-free lives. But if you violate any of the conditions during this program, you can be facing penal sanctions.
What happens in a case if the fella smokes his little grass, but he's not addicted?
Well, you have several options. You have an option of facing other programs, not necessarily geared toward addicts, but just geared towards raising the awareness of the harmful effects. You can build up tolerance to these drugs. So they may sentence you to, you have some local treatment facilities such as BASH, Teen Challenge, where these persons will have to do community service. So that's another option. What we see in the region, a lot of countries are looking at instituting fines,
okay,
just like a traffic ticket. Your first offense, you're caught with amount. Now, this amount have to be for personal use, not large amounts, like a joint or two for personal use.
So if I have a joint or two, that would be regarded as personal use?
It could be.
What if I'm having a party and I have like 6 or 7 brothers of the block who need their little grass? Certainly 2 joints wouldn't be enough for me and them.
Yes, well, that would be determined on a case-by-case basis, because you may find, we may come across an individual who has 2 joints, but if we know him to be a known drug pusher, he might only have 2 joints left to sell. So it's on a case-by-case basis, and a part of the drug treatment court is going to involve a panel, a screening panel, which these suspects will, or these persons will be brought before this panel to determine if a drug treatment program would be most suitable.
Well, I may interject there. My spiritual advisor, if you have holy questions, you're free to put it to the good police superintendent. If we decriminalize marijuana, does it mean that Joe Blow could still now smuggle in his little marijuana or his little coke?
No.
Since it is now decriminalized, and are we indirectly aiding and abetting drug gangsters?
The word is depenalized, not decriminalized.
Depenalized.
Yes. Depenalized still it's still clear that these offenses are against the law. There's no question about that. It's just that your punishment is adjusted in such a way where you do not want these persons to be in and out of the system. Some of these persons are drug addicts. Some of them need help and attention. So rather than sending them to a penal institution for punishment, the sentence, so to speak, will be more therapeutic.
I hear that, but isn't it kind of contradictory if the fella is still bringing in his little coke into the country, his little marijuana?
No, trafficking is a whole different ballgame.
Okay.
Trafficking is not being considered for depenalization. Depenalization is being explored through a drug treatment court where you look at small amounts of marijuana for personal use, 1 or 2 joints. But the trafficking of drugs. It's still, in fact, it's going to be blustered because it is still a major issue. And we are in the supply reduction field. We are teaming up with our international partners to bring more of these transnational criminal organizations that are moving illicit drugs through our country. We are stepping up our game, and we have Operation Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, which is a tripart agreement between the government of Bahamas, the United States, and the Turks and Caicos Islands, who sets out to interdict drugs through our borders. And we have been getting large sieges and putting people before the court. So that is not an option for depenalization. Depenalization is for the small amounts for personal use.
If, for instance, there was going to be, please help me out. I don't want to misquote you.
Okay.
You were suggesting to me that there would be a council set up, a kind of quasi-court, where if a person is charged and is brought, they would go before a panel. What kind of character would you, as a policeman, recommend to be on the panel? And so that you would understand my question. Should it be, would you have a problem if it was a fella who used to whap, who used to smoke grass, who used to sell little marijuana, somebody who experimented with his little coke, his little drugs, his little lean? Are they the characters that you would want to be sitting in this quasi-judicial panel determining punishment?
All of the trends we have seen from our fellow member states in the OAS, who is providing training for us to establish this drug treatment court, recommend that this panel be made up of members of the judiciary, the police, and treatment professionals. So these are persons who have skills and expertise in drug use and abuse and could make an honest and an informed determination whether or not this candidate would be successful in a drug treatment program. So it's a cross-cutting, it'll be a multi-agency cross-cutting board who will be able to determine whether this person would be a successful candidate. And that is the model we've been following, and a number of countries have been practicing this drug treatment court, and preliminary assessments have indicated that these individuals who go through these programs, the recidivism rate for these persons returning is very low. So it is having a positive impact. So once we get the right training in place. In fact, we had our Chief Justice Hartman Longley. He attended a drug treatment court conference with members of our staff in Washington.
Now, when you say
DC,
our staff,
at the Ministry of National Security,
okay,
the National Anti-Drug Secretariat, we are responsible for facilitating the establishment of this drug treatment court.
You would have no problem if those people who are comprising this panel, say I'm 60.
Okay.
You follow my point? So at 60, I have a fair idea of all those who are 60 and a little older than me who were smoking grass in the 80s,
I see.
in the late 70s. You still will have no problem if they have cleaned up their act and they're sitting on that panel. But as I arrive as a spectator, it dawned on me that my boy, who's now clean, used to smoke little grass. You would have no problem with that.
Well, once again, I think it may be of value to have somebody who would be aware of the effects and what this individual may be
Meaning
going
who
through.
may have tried
Right.
a little coke,
That may be useful.
a little grass.
That it may be useful, but
Now
we
you
are
see-
going to be guided by what.
You see the problem I have? See,
Yes,
I have a fundamental problem with that, because for me to show up in the court and I see a person on the panel who I remember was doing little things. You see? But I
Yeah.
got your point. You're saying that.
We're going to be, once again, we're going to be guided by the recommendations.
Okay.
We're not doing this in isolation. There's a number of other countries who have established this drug treatment court, and we are going to be guided by them. Personally, there may be value in getting advice from
Okay.
such a person. They may not necessarily have to serve on the panel, but they could be a consultant. You can seek advice. Because if you look at some of the treatment centers here locally, in fact, some of the people who run these treatment centers were former addicts.
Okay.
So there is value just because someone may have use or
Try a
abuse
little
drugs,
grass.
it doesn't mean that they are worthless in terms of contributing to somebody going straight.
You're
So
right.
there may be value in that.
Now, I note the drugs that you have described, but you fail to deal with what I call that ancient drug, Hennessy. I was at Arawak Key the other night, and as I saunter, I could see some of the man them with the bottle of Hennessy, some of the woman them with Hennessy, right? I know of people who are, what is the word? Alcoholics. I note that you have not referred to any of the intoxicating beverages. Will you also be discussing those, or are you just principally focusing on the young people drugs, the illicit one?
No, alcohol, again, is a drug. Cigarettes, nicotine is a drug. And we're looking at the whole gamut, whether it be prescription drugs, over-the-counter drugs, legal drugs, or illicit drugs. And alcohol is the second most common drug that Bahamians show up at treatment facilities to receive treatment
Alcohol.
for abuse. Alcohol. Marijuana is number one. Alcohol is number two. So it's
How
a very...
come marijuana is number one? What is marijuana doing that alcohol seems not to be doing?
Well, what we have going on right now is a household survey where we are surveying all of the major inhabited islands. I think the final sample is going to be around 4,000 or 5,000, where we can get more information on the prevalence of drug use, why people turn to the drug, whether it be marijuana,
Yes.
etc. So we could answer those questions. But we receive data from all of the local treatment facilities, and marijuana is the most popular drug that people show up for to treatment, second to alcohol. And while we're on the issue on school,
Yes.
every 4 or 5 years we conduct a school drug prevalence survey. And the last survey was conducted in 2012. And to your point about alcohol, when we asked the students about alcohol use,
Yes.
overall lifetime usage was 70%. That means 70% of students in schools have tried alcohol.
Wow.
So it's very popular. And we know once you start using alcohol, it makes you more predisposed to use cigarettes, and that can go on a continuum to marijuana and other illicit drugs. So what we are wanting to do leading up to International Day is to raise the awareness of the harmful impact, whether it be drugs, cigarettes, BDs is another common one. In fact, BDs is more dangerous than regular cigarettes because BDs does not have a filter, so it's more lethal than a cigarette. So it's all about getting the facts out there and letting young persons and parents as well know about the harmful impact that these drugs have. Some parents may believe that BDs is healthy or more healthy than cigarettes.
Well, I know one woman. I had to curse her out about 30 years ago. She had a son, let's call him Jerry.
Okay.
Jerry was weightless, was lazy, didn't like to work. And she said to prevent Jerry from thieving, she had to give Jerry his little $5 to buy his little grass. And then after she gave Jerry the $5, she would go to one of them church where she would preach. I never understood it, but I do run on. If you, this is a terrible question I'm going to put to you, so I want you to guide yourself, okay? If you had to recommend a little social drugs for the young people to take, which one you think would have been the best one? Careful.
I wouldn't recommend any drug.
Oh, praise the Lord.
I wouldn't recommend any drug because, you know, what may start off as fun and games may end up into trouble. You know, you can start, you know, look at Jolly Rancher Sprite. It seems harmful, but when you combine these drugs, that is where the problem begins. And then when you build up a tolerance to that drug, you want to try something else. So you get more and more curious, and before you know it, you may show up at a treatment center.
Well, you
with
have me
addiction.
frightened. Because with this education, I didn't know little Sprite and candy and other things could get you high.
Good.
I didn't know that. You don't think some of this education might be too dangerous in the public domain?
Well, I think we need to talk about it because it's happening now. It's not a secret. This is happening in schools and among young persons in parties. This is happening now. And I think it's important to talk about it because a lot of these kids who are trying this may not know about how harmful or dangerous it could be. It may give them a feeling of euphoria for a short time, but prolonged use could lead to death.
Wow.
And it is a very serious matter. And this is where parents come in. You know, we have to monitor and be more involved in what is going on in with our kids.
I agree.
Because over the weekend, I spent some time with some relatives on Father's Day, and I asked some of my nieces about this lean. And this primary school students are aware of this. So we
Wow.
have to go way back down to the primary school level and start educating about the harmful effects of these drugs. Parents, again, need to be more involved. You need to know what is going on with your child at school, speak with them. We also have this issue of marijuana cookies. They are now...
They have marijuana cookies?
Yes. We have incidents this year where...
I'm old. I didn't know they had
Yes,
marijuana cookies.
they're putting marijuana in cookies now. They mix it in with the butter, and then they put that butter in the cookie batter, the cookie dough, and they bake them. And, you know, it's a cookie and it's marijuana, but when you combine these things, you know, the cookie recipe may have, or ingredients may be having a negative mix or impact on the marijuana, and these kids are using it, and they're turning up at hospitals sick. So
Wow.
these are things that are going on. We want to raise the awareness, let parents know, let kids know these things aren't cool. If somebody offers you one of these things, it's dangerous stuff.
Well, the First Lady of the United States, the late Nancy Reagan, I hope she is she dead, my spiritual
Yes,
advisor?
she is.
Yes. She usually just say no to drugs. I don't hear anybody campaigning in that manner. Are you telling young people, say no to drugs?
Not only are we telling them just say no, but our slogan that we've adopted last year is I'm loving me, drug free.
Wow.
And we want to encourage young people to love yourself. Don't get into drugs. We have embarked on a number of awareness raising campaigns, first of which are some public service announcements. We have Olympic gold medalist Shawnee Miller, who did several public service announcements for us talking about marijuana and BDs and drugs. We have DJ Counselor, he did one for us. So we have a lot of influential young persons getting the message out there. You will see going across New Providence now a number of billboards at key intersections that talks about lean, BDs, drugs and marijuana to, again, raise the awareness. We have we are across all the social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and we also have a website. Our website is www.bahamas.gov.bs/NADS, NADS. And there, not only can you find information on drugs, but we also have external links to all of our local partners. So you can click on a link to the Bahamas National Drug Council, Teen Challenge, BASH. So you can get information on what help is available to you. So it's all about getting the message out there, and we think using social media will be critical to that.
What research, what information that you all have on the BDs? Because I've noticed in the last 5-6 years, a lot of the young men are smoking BDs. I'm told that it is from China. Is that really true?
Yes, it's made, most of it is made in China. Some comes from India as well. This is an emerging drug. We hadn't questioned it, put it on our instrument, our survey instrument in 2012. But we're going into schools this fall, and we will be asking questions about BDs, lean, and e-cigarettes or hookahs. They call them electric cigarettes, where it's a battery-operated device that uses vapor to get nicotine and other items in your system. That's another growing trend. But we don't have anything empirical on BDs yet. We know that it is out there, and as soon as that survey is completed, we're going to have some empirical information. We're also surveying BDs in terms of the household survey. So there's a household survey. Those results should be out this summer, and the school survey should be out by December. But it is a very dangerous item. As I said,
Is it coming in? Is BD coming in lawfully? Don't answer me yet. I want to know. If BD is as dangerous as they say, how is it that successive government continue to allow it to come in? I have Dr. Chaswell Hanna, please forgive me. We'll talk to him again when we return after the break.
Freedom March with Rodney Monker will be right back after this. This is Freedom March with Rodney Monker.
Welcome back to Freedom March, broadcasting live on ILTV here in Nassau, Bahamas. My spiritual advisor, please join us. You're free to come on stage while the camera is rolling. Our special guest today is Superintendent of Police, Dr. Chaswell Hanna. And Mr. Hanna, once again, welcome to Freedom March.
Thank you.
When we took the adjournment, on my mind was that new cigarette, BDs. I've heard all sorts of stories and rumors about it. Among the rumors that has had a deep psychological effect on me is the allegation that the smoking of BDs will affect sperm reproduction and in fact assist in the sterilization of men. Do you have any information on that?
Yes, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, FDA, we've researched that topic, and there is some studies out there, a few studies, not much, but there are some studies that is finding that the use of BDs can lower your sperm count. So
wow.
That is, there's information to support that. And BDs in a number of states have been banned. More so for
in the United States?
Yes, in some
Really?
states, yes.
Wow.
States, yes.
I have a phone call. Just bear with me for a second. Welcome to Freedom March. Our special guest is Dr. Chaswell Hanna. Welcome. Hello, listen to me.
Hello.
Yes, what question do you have for Dr. Hanna?
All right, the question is, they always focus on the THC. What about the CBD that is provided in the marijuana plant?
Well, those technical terms I'm not familiar with, but whatever substances are present in marijuana, it is such that it would have a negative impact on your health. We have, as I said earlier, we have a number of persons showing up at our local treatment centers with marijuana addiction issues. So marijuana has contents that are harmful to your health. Earlier today we were on another show with Dr. Kirk Christie from the Sandilands Rehabilitation Center, who went into detail about the harmful effects that the chemicals present in marijuana has. So I invite you to visit our website at www.bahamas.gov.bs/NADS, and you can click on a link with Sandilands so you can find out more details that could answer your questions specifically.
Is that fine with you? Okay.
I mean, that's okay. I mean, because I know the technical terms of what they mean, and I know what the use and everything of
Tell
of the
me,
CBD, which is
let me ask you a question. Tell me
Yes, sir.
one benefit if I at 60 start smoking marijuana.
yes, sir.
You heard my question?
One benefit.
Yes.
All right. Let's see. She has pain.
If I have pain.
Pain.
Okay.
A simple pain.
All right.
One, you don't have to smoke it.
Okay.
It could be cooked. It could be taken in as a drink.
Really?
It's very ways that it could be used.
Okay.
But I think that we just have a false teaching on what's going on about this drug, because they only focus on the tetrahydrocannabinol, right? That's the process that gets you high. But in the THC, they has something else that calls the CBD, which is the cannabinoid. That's the cannabinoid That's what it does. CBD, cannabinoid, right? And what it does, it interacts with your body, which your body naturally produces dopamine, right? And dopamine is connected to cannabinoid system that is in your body.
And that make you feel pleasurable.
It could make you feel better.
Because that's what the dopamine is for. It gives you a kind of sense of sensation and pleasure, I think. Anyway.
It gives it, yes.
Anyway, I thank you.
Could I invite, caller, I would like to invite you to the exhibition at the mall on Monday.
Monday?
Yes, on Monday at 12 noon in the mall at Marathon's food court. Dr. Christie from Sadler's Rehabilitation Center can give you some more details about what you're asking. But I know you made the point about you can cook it and boil it, etc. And we have an example of how it is being baked as cookies and it is having a negative impact on the health of young folks. So I think that's a good conversation to have. So I would like for you to come to the mall and Marathon so we can talk about it.
It has to have a large effect because it's different from smoking. It's more potent than what people really think. And what they do, they use the highest potency of whatever they have to make the cookies. That isn't like where you smoke and the heat kills certain things and then it could be broken down because of the heat. Marijuana can't take certain heat. That's why certain temperature gives off a certain thing. That's why they try to bring it in a vapor. But like I'm saying, it gives you every flame gives you a different temperature. But when you cook it, it don't break down nothing. Everything is straight up. So the average smoker, like any Rasta or any other person who ever smoke, would go out and smoke a joint or whatever and be okay. And then they go try a cookie, take a little piece of the cookie, and they never felt that type of feeling before. But it's just that people have to take it in moderation like everything else. And I think that we need to have a serious focus and a serious study on it because too many people's lives going down the drain for just a smoke. I mean, just a smoke. Come on, people legalizing it all over the world, and they have teens, Sanjay Gupta have documentaries on it where people their children had tried everything for cancer, and guess what? They still had to go back down to marijuana, which they use the CBD. That's what I talking about. You see, because I have a cousin in the States right now who uses CBD. I mean, and this thing don't get too high, so people have a bad concept. I'll take you off up. I'll see you Monday.
Yes, we look forward to having you, and you can ask for me, and we can talk about it. But I think there's some information that the professionals will share with you that I think would add value to what you're saying.
Okay, sir. I thank you very much. Welcome to Freedom March.
Hello.
Yes?
Good day. How you doing, Mr. Monka?
I am fine, and I have Dr. Charleswell Hanna here. You have a question for him?
I just want to let you know that your show is awesome, sir.
Well, I thank
Everybody is listening. I'm a young man, and every evening I tune into you.
You're a good young man.
And yeah, I have a question for him. What did he say lean is made out of?
Lean is a combination of cough syrup, Sprite or Mountain Dew, and Jolly Rancher candy. Those are the most common mixtures of lean.
Okay. So certain stores would sell it to people. Do y'all put restrictions on it?
Well, they don't sell the product lean. They may sell Sprite, they may sell Jolly Ranchers, they may sell cough syrup. But it's the combination. When you put these things together, that is what produces lean.
So it's no way to stop it then?
Well, the only way to stop it is to raise the awareness of the harmful effects that this combination can have on young folks and in fact any individual. And that is the whole purpose of International Day. We want to raise the awareness of the harmful impact that these mixtures and combinations are having.
Okay, sir. And another question. You only talking about drugs today. Could I throw another question at you relating to crime?
Go ahead.
You're an officer, right?
I am.
All right. Tell me the procedure of. I see something going around social media with the officers taking money from a certain businessman from downtown. I think that's extortion. And did you see the video?
I think I know what you're talking about. What's your question?
What is the procedure to deal with those officers?
Well, in the police force, we have a complaints and corruption unit. So if somebody wants to make a complaint, you can do so at that office, and that matter will be investigated. And if anybody is found culpable, charges can be levied.
I like you, sir. You answer your questions great. Y'all have a nice day.
We thank you. You're a good Negro man.
Rich,
my spiritual advisor.
Yeah, brings me two questions I want to ask the doctor. With this concept of depenalizing certain drugs, let's just say marijuana, wouldn't that embolden certain young men to use marijuana who may have been afraid before to use it, knowing that, it's just going through this depenalization process as it relates to the use of marijuana?
Not necessarily, because, again, the program for a drug treatment court and facing lower penalties are for persons who are addicts, not necessarily persons who may be first-time users. The whole idea is to provide help and treatment for addicts. It is still against the law, no question about it. But rather than giving you prison time, if the board finds that you have an addiction problem, you will receive help, and you have to stay within the parameters of that program, because if you step out of the parameters of that program, you could face penal sanctions.
This is powerful. Welcome to Freedom March. Hello.
Hi, how you doing?
We are fine. What's your question?
You and your guest, and I want to thank this officer for coming out and answering our questions. Now, my thing is, I heard the caller earlier said that marijuana is legalized in some of the states in America. So is legal marriage, as far as with same-sex marriage. That doesn't necessarily make it something that we want to happen here. And I would like to know, to hear the officer expand more because on this gateway drug, because you have a lot of kids. My son, in fact, sometimes when he was younger, would argue that the marijuana, you can smoke it, and you don't end up. So you can end up on cocaine, end up free with the coke or whatever. If they line it with the coke the dealers to get, because it's a business. The drug dealers, that's a business for these men, right? So can you give me some information as to with young people who don't really appreciate that they're only smoking dope or they're only smoking this grass and they're never going to be that person who was walking down counting the poles, or that person who was they call them Joneses or whatever, that it can in fact lead to that. And I'll hang up and I'll listen. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very good question. And I think your son will benefit from attending this exhibition as well, because we will have testimonials from young persons who started out experimenting with marijuana, and they graduated, for lack of a better word, to more serious drugs, more harmful drugs, cocaine, etc. So there is information, research that suggests that starting to use these drugs, in fact, not even marijuana, starting with alcohol and cigarettes, and you go on and you continue to use these products, you start to build up tolerance, and you are more likely to use illicit drugs. So if you're looking as a parent, looking for more information, I entreat with you to come to the exhibition at the Mall at Marathon. Bring your son with you.
And that is on Monday.
Monday, 12 noon in the food court.
Welcome to Freedom March. Hello? Are you there?
Yes, Mr. Monco.
Sir.
Good evening, sir, and to your panelists and your guests, Mr. Hanno, and spiritual advisor.
Good evening.
I'd just like to make a comment, if it's okay with you.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, my comment I'd like to make is on a spiritual line or guideline according to the scriptures.
Okay.
The Bible said that God, on the sixth day, after he made the whole planet Earth, he rested from his work, and he said everything that he did and he made was good. Now, the cocoa plant, the marijuana plant, the tobacco plant, the grapes, and what's not, all of those were made by God. Now, the problem, we in the Bahamas, as well as the other parts of the world, the problem we have is not really so much a drug problem. It's actually the abuse of the drug. As you know, pharmacies come from derived from the word pharmacia, which in Greek means drugs. So our people need to be more educated, the purpose for these drugs, because it is known that where there's no known for a purpose, abuse is inevitable. And what has happened, I think we need to educate our people more, the reason why these drugs exist. God himself made the marijuana plant. God himself made the tobacco tree. God himself made the grapes and the corn and all these other drugs that come forth. Now, the ones that are made by man, that's something completely different. But the ones that God made himself, he himself, God himself said it was good. So who are we as mankind to say that what God had made is not good? So if once those who are being educated in the pharmaceutical and knows how to prescribe these drugs to assist humanity, it becomes something of good use, not abuse. That's what I'd like to say, sir.
We thank you.
Extremely interesting. As a matter of fact, I was going to advance that argument here to the good doctor from a religious perspective, in that we do have a religious group that advances the same argument that they want to use, that they want to be able to smoke marijuana for religious purposes. The problem with that, though, is that it is against the law. And, of course, Christians are encouraged, based on the scriptures, to obey the law of the land. But the argument that the caller has advanced is sound. I can't go against it.
Other than
the book of Genesis
man
confirm it.
who run the earth say it's against the law. Welcome to Freedom Match. Hello? Okay, I missed that caller. Well, you want to comment on the caller?
Just to his point about abuse, I want to talk about prescription drug abuse. This is another trend we're finding, and this is particularly for the parents. What we've been learning is that obviously every parent wants their children to do well on exams. They want their kids to excel in school. So what we found is that some parents have been giving their children certain stimulant drugs that are legal. Adderall is one of them. And the idea is that this will help the child to stay more alert, more awake, so they can study and perform well on the exam. Unfortunately, what has been happening is that if you give somebody Adderall who's not been prescribed to take that medicine by a medical professional, that can have a harmful impact on the child.
Is that an over-the-counter drug?
It's a prescribed drug.
It's a prescribed drug.
Yes.
Well, how, forgive me, the heck would a parent have access to a drug that perhaps was not prescribed?
It may have been prescribed for them as a parent,
okay,
as a stimulant, but what they're doing in an attempt to, in their mind, help their child, they're giving that prescription to their kids, trying to help them.
Are you suggesting then that we perhaps need legislation to make it an offense for you to share your prescribed medication, let's say with me?
I think the first step is education. I don't think parents understand fully what they may be doing. I don't think they understand that it is harmful. My grandmother, she before she passed, I think she was 89, and she had a medicine box with all sorts of pills and prescriptions in it. And if you don't properly dispose of them, you can use them illegitimately, and you can harm yourself. So parents need to understand that if your child is in need of something, you can't just simply go in your medicine cabinet and pretend to be a doctor or pharmacist and say, here, take this. Because you may be having you may be doing more harm than good. So I think step one is education. We have to educate our parents that this is not something that they should be doing, because many of them think that it's okay. And once you use that over a period of time, if you're taking a medicine for a cough and you don't have a cough, somewhere along the line, that is going to have a negative impact on your health. So I think education is the first step.
Welcome to Freedom Match. Hello? Well, let me ask a question which has slipped my memory for the time being. But what do you see as a police officer? Do you see any correlation between drug usage and the most horrible crime on the criminal calendar, murder?
Yes. there is a relationship between drugs and crime, not on the usage side, but more on the trafficking side. And this is how the relationship works. Drugs, the Bahamas is smack dab in the middle between the number one cocaine producing country, Colombia, in South America, and the number one consuming nation, North America. So because of our location, a lot of drugs, we are like the gateway to between these two countries. So because of that, a lot of transnational organized criminals, they move these illicit goods through our nation. And if you are moving these illicit goods, you need to protect your illicit products. And that is where guns come in. Because you're not going to move these things that are very expensive or has a lot of value in the U.S. Without protecting them. So you have guns moving through here. And then you have what we found that a lot of these drug traffickers, they steal drugs from each other. And these drug traffickers have therefore morphed into gangs. So you have your drugs, your guns, and your gangs, and then that leads to murder. So the drug trade is a root cause.
How? Show me how it leads. I have my little drugs, I got my gun, I got my gang. Why should I now go and murder somebody?
Well, gangs compete for turf.
Warfare.
Yes, so if you are selling drugs in a particular area and another drug dealer wants to sell in that area, you're going to be impacting that drug dealer's profits. And we've seen this, yes.
And it creates conflict.
Yes. And that's what's been happening, part of the problem.
Welcome to Freedom March. Hello, speak to us.
Hello.
Yes?
Hey, how you doing, Mr. Moncur?
I am fine. What question do you have?
This was Monroe.
This was Monroe?
Long time.
Miss Monroe, are you the mother of Marvin?
Yes, sir.
I met him. He's a wonderful young man, and he's so proud of you. It meant that you did a wonderful, wonderful job. And I yearned to meet you one day. Okay?
Yes, he told me.
Yes.
He told me he meet you.
Yes, he did. And I yearn to meet you one day, okay?
Yes, sir.
So I wanted to salute you for raising a good son. And children, particularly, are always a reflection of their mothers.
God bless.
And if a mother is a good mother,
God bless.
The children will be good.
Mm-hmm.
So you take good care. I love you, and I look forward to meeting you one day.
Always.
Okay?
Always.
God bless you.
Bye now. You take care and have a blessed evening.
Okay, ma'am. Thank
you. Thank you.
Very well. So, do I have another call? Well, Miss Monroe, I met her son today. She's a wonderful mother. So, we're still talking about turf warfare because it would appear that, there's been quite a lot of murders. And the talk that I hear, the fellas steal his drugs. I don't know if I should say it, but I'm going to say it. If I used to sell drugs and they stole my drug, I was going to the police. Why are you laughing? Yes, if I was selling drugs and somebody stole my drugs, I have the answer. Go right to the CDU and say, listen, I sell drugs. Jerry them, that's a fictitious name, stole my drugs. Would that be a good idea?
Yes. In fact, we encourage anybody who has drugs, who have had them stolen, come to us, and we will be more than happy to assist you.
Yeah, because instead of me taking my AK-47 or looking for one to either kill somebody or I be killed, I would think the best thing to do is to go see the police. Isn't that a wonderful idea?
I think it is. Come to us. We will make sure you're sorted out. No problem. But let me just give you an idea of the money we're talking about in this illicit drug trade. Globally, we're talking about a nearly $500 billion industry.
So why don't they just legalize it then?
Well, look at all the harmful effects.
Wow.
Look at what we have. That's the issue. And let me give you an example. In Colombia, a kilogram of cocaine is worth $1,500 US. By the time that key comes here in the Bahamas, that's worth $15,000.
Really?
By the time that key goes to Florida, it's worth $35,000.
Wow.
By the time it goes to New York, it's worth $50,000. and when it goes to Europe, it's worth over 70.
All that
So
money?
that is the kind of money, and this is why this drug trafficking issue is so serious, and we have drug traffickers moving these products because it is a highly profitable
Well,
business.
when we return, I'm going to put a question to the police and ask them if it isn't an international conspiracy to keep drugs illegal so gangsters could get rich. I'll be right back after the break.
Do you have something to say to the senator? Call Freedom March at 323-7775. Toll free from anywhere in the Bahamas at 242-300-0045. Freedom March with Rodney Monker, only on ILTV. This is Freedom March with Rodney Monker.
Welcome back to Freedom March, broadcasting live on ILTV here in Nassau, the Bahamas. My name is Rodney Monker. My spiritual advisor is Bradley Roll, and we are joined in studio by a superintendent of the Royal Bahamas Police Force, Dr. Charleswell Hanna. Mr. Hanna, once again, welcome to Freedom March.
Thank you.
Brother Roll, read a text first before I go to the phone.
Call. Good evening, Senator. A better Bahamas again. I'm watching you from Hollywood Beach, Florida.
Wow.
Alcohol is the biggest drug in the Bahamas. Can we get some enforcement on the abuse of drinking alcohol? And can your spiritual advisor comment on this from a biblical perspective? And is he truly a saved man?
My spiritual advisor, I am convinced every day that, like all of us, he's a sinner, but saved by grace. I call him a saved man. Read me another text, my spiritual advisor, because I got to go to the phone.
Good afternoon, Mr. Monker. Can you say whether or not the Minister for Nothing is ready to meet cabinet heads on the international level, because he don't know how to speak to us here locally? So could you only imagine what the Bahamas would look like a few weeks away? It's going to be lettered by lettered, one word at a time. All takes forever to make a sentence. Is it going to take a lot of speech? I don't understand.
We'll answer that tomorrow, but today we are fighting drugs. Welcome to Freedom March. Hello?
Hello.
So, what's on your mind? I have a whole police superintendent here, and we're talking drug awareness.
Yes.
Yes, go ahead. Speak to us. Don't listen to the echo in the background. Hello?
Hello.
Talk to me. What's on your mind?
Is it Monker?
Yes, sir. It's me.
Okay. The question was put to the police about the things what God made. But in Isaiah chapter 45 and verse 7, the Lord said, I create good and I create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things.
Wow.
Now, it's up to you to follow what is good or what is bad. And the policeman answered it quite correctly.
Yes.
Okay, you got to learn. You see, everything in the Bible is there for a reason, but we got to be able to differentiate
Yes.
the good from the bad.
Yes.
Okay?
Okay, sir.
All right, sir.
I thank you. God bless you. You sound like you're from Grand Bahama.
Yes, sir.
I know your voice now. You're a good
Yeah.
man. I'm proud of you.
Let me ask him a question before he goes. Are
Sir-
you still there, caller?
He's-
Well, the question is, Mr. Monker.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, sir. Take good care.
He's still there?
Okay.
Okay. Let's take the next call.
Okay.
Welcome to Freedom March. Hello?
Hello.
Yes, sir. What's your question for the good police superintendent?
Rodney Monker?
Yes, sir.
Oh, what's going on? You and your guest. How y'all doing?
Good, thank you.
You have a question for him?
Yes, I want to know what's going on in Inagua, because many drugs are passed through Inagua when it's coming into Haiti. How can we stop it? And your guest is sitting right there. He knows what's going on and where these drugs are coming, which island it's stopping to, and they know these people. So how come we cannot stop this drug thing? What is affecting our Bahamas tremendously?
Well, we're going to have the police answer you, sir. Would you kindly answer the Negro gentleman?
Yes, as I said earlier, our drug enforcement unit, our international partners, we are actively interdicting drugs through our waters. Again, we just in 2015, for example, over 15,000 pounds of marijuana.
Wow.
Over 1,000 pounds of cocaine. In 2016, last year, over 4,000 pounds of marijuana and over 3,000 pounds of cocaine. So we are interdicting. Drugs are passing through many of our islands. Our intelligence, we are guided by our intelligence. We are guided by information from you, members of the public. So if you have information on these sorts of things, please share it with us. But I also refer to that backdrop to your question about stopping. This is a very lucrative business, and we are not going to stop interdicting. We are going to increase our presence out there. We have been making investments in equipment, training, and resources, and we are going to continue to interdict this trade.
Welcome to Freedom March. Hello?
Monica.
Yes?
And good afternoon, spiritual advisor and your guest.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Monica, you had me cracking up. If you was a drug dealer, you would really go to the police and tell the
course!
police they stole your
I don't mess
drugs?
around, you know. If I used to sell drugs, nobody could steal my drugs. I would go to the police.
Mr. Monica, I know, I read something where somebody did that and the police put the handcuff on them.
Well, they can put the handcuff on me too, but I prefer than to get killed or I kill somebody.
Well, that's true, but I want to ask your guest. I hear him give a statistic on how much drugs they got. I would like to know, does the government have anything in place when we get all these illegal drugs or we capture people with these illegal drugs? Could we not trade the drugs off to the country that have them legally so that we could put some money in the treasury? Has anybody thought about doing that? Because what do they do with the drugs when they get them like that?
Well, we have to keep it in our possession until the court case is completed, and after that they are destroyed.
But I'm saying, could we not do something else other than destroying them? Could we not send them to a country that have it legalized instead of destroying them? Because you just said a little while ago that it value a lot of money.
Yeah, it's an interesting idea. I know that idea is not on the table as we speak right now because we're not even sure if these countries would be willing to accept. But as it stands right now, the drugs are kept in our possession until the court cases are completed, and after which they are destroyed.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Mr. Monica. Have a good day.
God save the Queen, my sister. Tout le monde haïtien, est-ce que vous tendez? All Haitians, did you hear? Le yon garçon nègre, and a Negro man, relay pour dire. When a Negro man called to say, tout drug sorti Haiti, na lale na Inagua. All the drugs going from Haiti to Inagua. Moi c'est j'ai de paix. I'm a justice of the peace. Moi famille moi sorti Haiti longtemps. My family came from Haiti long time. Map besmen nous pour stop it. I want you to stop it. Parce que ça c'est illégal. It's illegal. I had to say it to my people, the Haitian people. Do I have anybody else on that call? Welcome to Freedom March. What's on your mind, sir?
Hello?
Yes, sir. Put the question.
Hey, Mr. Monica, I called earlier. I just want to respond to your caller with all respect to the scriptures of the Word of God.
Okay.
It says in 2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 3, it says, study the Word of God so that you can approve that which is right, not wrong. Because if you do not study the Word of God correctly, you could give wrong instructions.
Absolutely.
Now, let me elaborate a little bit more if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
The reason why I said that earlier in God's creation, you cannot mix up Ezekiel 28 with Genesis.
Absolutely.
That's something completely different when God was talking to the children of Israel. But if you look at it, say the same cocoa plant that produced cocaine, people uses that to get high off illegally by cocaine was not, but it's that same cocaine plant that produces cocaine for the dentist to put that in your teeth or your gum to numb in your teeth.
Absolutely.
It's the same thing with the alcohol. It is used for different reasons and different purposes. So you have to be very careful when you read the Word of God, taking one scripture out of the Bible and want to apply it to somewhere else. You always have to be careful whenever you're doing that. The Bible says you must study to show your awakening is not to be ashamed, but rightly divide the word of truth. So if you could rightly divide the word of truth, you could wrongly divide it. This man said. And I'm sorry to say the gentleman, respectfully, whoever he is, he wrongfully misled you all this evening.
Absolutely.
Because God's word is the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. Hebrews chapter 13, verse 8. I am also a teacher of the word of God. And so you must be led by the scripture, by the Holy Spirit of God when he gives you the inspiration of the word of God and he reveals truth to you. God never changed, Mr. Moncur, for you or me or nobody else. You can't fit God in your pocket and say, but this is how it goes with the word of God here. God never changed, and God is not afraid to say, if he made something and it is good, he has nothing to hide behind a closed door or anywhere else. God is God, and he will never cease from being God. So I just be respectful to what the person said earlier. That was completely wrong. Ezekiel 20 has nothing to do with the creation that God did in the Garden of Eden. That has nothing to do with that, sir.
I thank you very much.
Mr. Moncur, as your spiritual advisor, I must concur with the caller. He is 100% correct. And
is this caller a saved man?
He apparently is on the right track. As a matter of fact, let me quote it correctly. It says in 2 Timothy 2:15, study to show yourself approved unto God, a workman not needed to be ashamed, but one who rightly divides the word of truth. And he is correct. The mere fact that it makes a charge to rightly divide, it means you could wrongly divide it. And I was going to make a point here. It's found in the book of Genesis chapter 1, right? And here it is in verse number 29. It says, and God says, look, I've given you every seed-bearing plant throughout the earth and all the fruit trees for your food. And I've given you every green plant as food for all the wild animals, the birds in the sky, the small animals that scurry along the ground, everything that has life. And that is what happened. Then God looked over all he had made, and he said and saw that it was good. So my question to that caller before the caller, what in the Garden of Eden, or what over the entire earth did God create was evil? There's nothing in the passage that suggests that. So he was absolutely incorrect by saying, well, you know, God created evil, and as a result of that, the marijuana plant is evil. That isn't what the Bible teaches. I'm sorry.
I thank you, my spiritual advisor. Welcome to Freedom March.
Mr. Walker, what's going on?
All right, yes, sir. You have a question?
Man, that's good, man.
You have a question for the police?
Negroes who are with you.
Praise the Lord.
Yeah, man. What's going on with the big-time vessels in the Bahamas? These Defense Force vessels, where they don't have enough money to put gas in these vessels? And plus, some of them guys is be slacking off. They need to stop. So you have boats coming in and out, right? It's the people's time, right?
What time is
when
it?
The PLP was in power, the boats wasn't out to sea. What's going on in this country? And one more thing. Let me just tell all three of y'all, it's the people's time, my
praise
brother.
the Lord.
Thank you.
I thank you very much. Do I have another phone call? Hello? Okay. Read text, my spiritual advisor.
Mr. Moncur, let me swipe this.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, Senator. My name is Dondra Kimberly McVie. I'm from Freeport. I applied for my unemployment with National Insurance since April the 22nd of this year. I was told the check back May the 26th. I did every week since. I was given a story. Today I was told since I applied for my unemployment a month, 2 months later, or after for being unemployed, my papers have to go in front of a committee to be approved, I guess. Senator, I never, I'm trying to get through this. Every week is something new with National Insurance and Social Services. I really need your assistance.
My spiritual advisor.
Do they care for the Negroes?
Well, my good friend is the member of Parliament for Garden Hills. Write that contact there.
Yeah, I'll do that.
It's Brensel Roll. Brensel, look out for the people them. They need the little money. Do I have another phone call? or is there text? Read text, my spiritual advisor.
Good day. I asked the superintendent why, when I smoke in the bush, they won't still lock me up.
Well, it doesn't matter where you smoke. It's against the law. And if you are found in possession of an illicit substance, you can be arrested.
Right. And if they're smoking in the bush and nobody knows, they're still breaking the law. And once the police shows up, well, you know what that means. Welcome to Freedom Match.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Mr. Monk, how you doing, sir?
I'm fine, sir. What question you have for the law?
Yeah. Good day to your guest too.
Good day.
Superintendent.
Yes, sir.
I have a question, not a question, but it's a statement. We have some of your officers, especially the said in DEU. All right, they go to a scene, all right, and say for example, 1,000 pounds of marijuana was recovered, right? But in their report, they only reporting that 600.
Now, let me
pounds
caution you. These are
discovered.
serious allegations you are levying before a justice of the peace and a superintendent. But continue.
Yeah, but we know that these drugs circulate back on the street. All right. We as street people, we know these things. We know the people who put it back on the street, and you know that isn't right.
But if you caught them, let me ask Mr. Hanna, based on the allegation of corruption this gentleman is levying, certainly if you were to find those police officers committing that crime, what would you do?
Well, let me say this. Our Commissioner of Police has no problem firing and charging or saying that a police officer who has run afoul of the law is charged before a court. Nobody is above the law and nobody is beneath it. And there have been police officers, Defense Force Marines, correctional officers who have all been charged before the court for breaking laws that they were supposed to be defending. So that is a non-issue. We have no problem doing that. But I would also share with you, if you have information about this, please come and report it to the Complaints and Corruption Branch so that it can be properly investigated.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I have another call. Spiritual advisor, read text. More call? Okay, read text.
All right, let me just grab it up here.
Yes.
Mr. Monka, could you please send a message to Mr. Marvin Dames and tell him it's really time for the people at the community centers to be paid?
What community center are they talking about?
So I understand the IDB Bank has already left the money for us to be paid.
Send me that text tomorrow. I don't want it to make it too political with the police officer here. So send that back to me tomorrow and I shall respond to it. My spiritual advisor, read text.
Mr. Monka, please continue to speak for the people. I'm praying for you. A lot of people are suffering and voted for the FNM. They are disappointed.
Well, thank you. Let me read one here. Good day, Mr. Monka. We still have not been paid for May 8th. June is soon due. Bills need to be paid. Still no answer from Roads and Park. This is not right and nobody cares about us and our families. They might as well pay us for June sometime as May, but I doubt that. Shame. It's not the people's time. Welcome to Freedom March. Hello?
Hello? Yes.
Go ahead.
Mr. Monka, yes. I'm calling. I wanted to find some information. There was a video that was circulating the other day regarding an officer who assaulted a security officer while on the job, and it's recorded. What happened to that officer? Because, you know, he mentioned that officers are not against the law, not above the law, but what happened to that officer? Was he charged and reprimanded?
I'm not sure what came out of it. But again, we have a complaints and corruption unit, and any allegations of misuse or abuse of power is properly investigated and dealt with, whether it be by charging an officer or dealing with an officer departmentally. But I can't comment on the outcome of that specific case.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Right. Welcome to Freedom March. Hello? Hello? Yes? What's your question? What's your question? The clock
this is my first time calling.
Welcome. Which island are you on?
Right here in Nassau.
Welcome again.
And
put your question.
I'd like to welcome your two guests there, Mr. Hanna.
Thank you.
And Mr. Roll.
Thank you.
What I'd like to just mention something about this marijuana.
Go ahead.
You know, I don't frequent the social media. My brother does, and he gave me some information just yesterday that was astounding. They're doing some tests on marijuana, and they have found out there is hardly anything, any disease in a human being that marijuana can't cure or make better.
Really? Is it good for prostates?
Yeah, and they have not finished this testing.
Really?
But they say they have 3 or 4 more to try, and then they'll come out with a complete report. But it is amazing just how many diseases that this same marijuana, not smoking it, you know, because, you know, the human body was never designed to accept smoking that way.
Okay.
You know, that's completely.
Well, what you do for me is keep following it and let me know.
Yes, they are.
All right.
I think they're soaking it in warm water or boiling it or whatever, but they're finding that this marijuana is astoundingly excellent stuff.
Well, ask your brother how good it is for prostate problem. Let me know. All right?
Yes, sir.
And call us back. I thank you very much. Do I have another call? Welcome to Freedom March. Hello?
Hello.
Sir, what is your question for the police?
Mr. Monka.
Sir.
Yeah, I'm calling to let you know that I picked up all the garbage on Hawthorne Road.
They picked it up?
Picked all of it up.
Wow, it is truly the people's time.
It surely is.
And it is truly that Shannon Dawn Cartwright, my MP.
Yes, and good afternoon to you and your guest and the spiritual advisor.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Listen, I'm happy to hear that. And if
thank you very much. Sir.
Tell me all the good things that the FNM is doing because I'm cursing them out.
Yes,
and if you tell me good things, I'll praise them, okay?
Absolutely.
All right,
thank you very much.
It's the people's time.
What time is it?
It's the people's time.
Hello, welcome to Freedom March. Hello? Okay, don't take no more phone call because I only got about 4 minutes. Spiritual advisor, read some text fast because I got to let the police have the final say.
Good afternoon, Mr. Monka. I am from Smith Point in Grand Bahama.
Wow.
Is it not Hot Mix that has the contract? Because we understand it is Warren Construction that will get the job.
Okay, well, that's good. I don't want you all to tell me lies on Brent Simonet. He's a powerful man, okay? And I don't want these people to hate me. So y'all make sure y'all give me the correct story. Go ahead.
Mr. Monka, I'm from Bryland, where we are the #1 island in the Caribbean. But we look like we are the #1 dirty island.
Well, Ricky Mackey is going to solve that.
The garbage is not being picked up.
No more text reading. We'll read the rest of that tomorrow. Mr. Hanna, let me start off by thanking you. I want you once again to tell the people when is the exhibition. You said it's Monday?
Yes, the exhibition will be held at the Mall at Marathon's food court at 12 noon. It's going to have displays from the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, Royal Bahamas Police Force, the Bahamas Department.
Is it free?
It is free. The Bahamas Department of Correctional Services, the Bahamas National Drug Council, Bash Teen Challenge, all of the local stakeholders. And we really want to encourage parents in particular to come out and get information about some of the new drug trends, the BDs, the alcohol, the lean, and the abuse of prescription drugs. So you can be well informed about the harmful impact that these drugs have.
And there's also a church service?
Yes, on Sunday at 11 a.m. we'll be having the church service at Zion Eastern Shirley. We'll be making a presentation to the ministry there to support their youth programs, and the Minister of National Security is slated to bring remarks at that service as well.
Is this service open to the public?
It is.
Don't cost a man church to be full up with people because, you know, you got a large congregation, but it is open.
And I understand this particular Sunday it will also be live on ZNS TV 13
This
as
is
well.
powerful. This is powerful. Is there any other thing you want to say? That's the clock there, and that's how many more minutes we have.
The only thing I want to say is I want all viewers to and all listeners to visit our website. I'll give it to you again. It's www.bahamas.gov.bs/NADS, NADS. And there you will find a wealth of information about drug use, abuse, and illicit trafficking. You will also find external links for all of our local stakeholders. You can also find us on Facebook at National Anti-Drug Secretariat, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And we want, as much as possible, whenever you pull information off of these platforms, please share it in your groups. I know we like to share some negative stuff across WhatsApp, but let's share some positive stuff as well. Download some of our public service announcement. For example, ones that Shawnee Miller, Olympic gold medalist, did for us. Share that with your friends so we could get the message out there about how important and serious this issue is, particularly to our young
My
persons.
spiritual advisor, would you kindly thank the officer, because the clock is running on us.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank
you. For a very professional and informative job.
And I thank you as well. And listen, you are free to come anytime.
Thank you.
Because you are the peace officer. Am I correct?
You are correct.
And who am I? I'm the justice of the peace. So this is the justice of the peace and the peace officer. Folks, tomorrow I'll go back to the politics. I got some hardcore politics to discuss. So please join us. Be safe. You heard the damaging effects of the BDs, them. And I want you all to leave it alone. Drugs are still against the law. And I say, tomorrow, I'll go back to the politics when we will analyze what the leader of the opposition said. Freedom March. Goodbye.
The thoughts, views, and comments expressed by Rodney Monker, his guests, callers, and advisors on Freedom March are not necessarily those of the management, ownership, or production unit of ILS, the Verizon Media Group. Freedom March is a production of ILTV Studios and cannot be reproduced or represented in part or entirety without the express written consent of the Verizon Media Group. Freedom March is the intellectual property of the Verizon Media Group. Copyright 2017. All rights are reserved.